Hey, cosmic warriors, spiritual skeptics, or just a random confused human. Welcome to another dimension. It's time to sit down with me, your reluctant mystic Michelle, coming to you from the void between worlds to talk about some really interesting metaphysical stuff. Who am I? Just a human who's been thrown into this place called Earth, who has a lot of questions, born with a whole bunch of gifts, but not a lot of answers. So what this podcast is going to do is explore some paranormal mysteries, energetic phenomena, and a lot of FML moments that have you questioning, what the hell are we doing here? So if you're spiritual or you're just really confused, this is the right place for you. So join me if you like riding the waves of the quantum ocean and getting really down deep into the WTF of what's going on here. Because, as I always say, they're legit. There's no way I signed up for this. So if you're ready for a wild ride, let's go. All right, everyone. Thank you for being patient as I fully recover from this icky stuff that's still out here that people don't talk about. I'm doing much better, feeling much better, and yeah, so let's jump into this. This is a really interesting topic. I think it might be really helpful for some people, but some individuals probably have heard me refer to the spiritual closet or coming out of the spiritual closet often. And I have a whole story time for that. But today I kind of want to talk to people who are cracking the door open. What does that mean? So if you're somebody who's listening to this, or I'm even being told to talk about parents who are parenting kids who have gifts developing, but you're not fully out of the spiritual closet, right? Maybe some close friends know, but you're still kind of peeking out. You haven't fully stepped into your role. You haven't fully stepped into your assignment. You haven't fully stepped into what your gifts are. You recognize that you have them, but you're not ready to fully step out of the closet and use them in the ways you've been gifted them to use. And the biggest reason for my personal experience, the biggest reason why I was in the spiritual closet for so long was because of fear and judgment. If I had to label two things, if somebody asked, why did it take you so long to fully, and honestly, I don't even think I'm fully out. Like, maybe all of my body's out, but maybe one foot is still like to the back in the closet. Because I feel it's a process for a lot of people. Some people are able to step fully out, like, hey, this is me. Like it or leave it. But some people, it takes time. Some people sneak out of the closet. Some people are pushed out of the closet. Some people are yanked out the closet. Some people are dragged. So I could say in my experience, it was a mixture of, as a young child, stepping fully out of the closet. Not knowing I was even in a closet. Actually, I don't think I could even say I was in a closet. It was more of being pushed into the closet. Because when I was a child, there was that freedom. There wasn't that fear. There wasn't that judgment because I was a child. But the programming, the templates, different religious beliefs, all of those things piled up on top of a young child, I stepped into the closet, right, as I got older, because my experience as a youth started to teach me that this wasn't okay. What your gift isn't okay. Almost to the point where some individuals would tell me that it was bad, right? It is not of God. So I placed myself in the closet as a child. So when the process came to where the calling, God telling me it's time to use these gifts. And my fear of judgment kept me in the closet. So I was more kind of dragged, I would say, out of the closet, to the point where, I don't necessarily think I'm fully out. It's some days it's just really good. Some days I'm just not feeling it. And again, it goes into the fear and judgment. If there was a situation where I wasn't concerned how certain individuals, certain relationships and stuff would be impacted, I would fully be out. I would fully be utilizing what I've been given to the highest ability. But I have to consider where I live, my professional relationships, and other items where there's still a level or lack of understanding. I work in a field where there's a lot of logic, a lot of science, a lot of all the things that are opposite a lot of the times in this world. So it's trying to be able to make those judgment calls on when it's okay for me to come out the closet and when I have to kind of back in. Now, as I've gotten older, I've been more comfortable being out of the spiritual closet, right? Because in the spiritual closet, you're in there with others who are like you, who accept you, who understand you. Coming out of it, you're putting yourself up for speculation, for judgment, and everything else, and that can be scary. That can be scary for most people. Now, I can only speak on my experience and some experiences from clients that I've had, but for the most part, it is a process. And in that process, it takes a level of understanding self, learning about self, diving into what your assignments are, asking God, in my example, exactly why do I have these gifts? Now, you would think that would be a really, really obvious thing to do. Have you ever asked why? It took a therapist, one that I felt very comfortable with, to tell her, about this part of my life. And she was the one who told me, have you ever asked why? Why do you have them? It was like a mind-blowing experience because I never did. And there was a time where, as a child, the things that have occurred, and then growing up and then trying to understand, is what is happening. Is it actually happening? Am I honestly hearing God's voice talk to me? Hold on. How is that possible when I was growing up through church, Catholic, as a Catholic, I was told confession and everything, I had to go to the Father, which is, the head of the church, to do my confessions and all the things. And it's like, I can have this direct communication. You absolutely can. So these are different things that, depending on your own story, because everybody has their own story, their own backgrounds, how you grew up, what was taught to you, these are all going to have impacts on how you choose to come out of that closet, out of that safety net, so you can utilize your gifts in the way that, whatever your assignment is. So there was that process of coming out of the closet. Like I said, I was more dragged than anything else because people were being directed and brought to me that I had to work with. And it was kind of God's way of saying, look, I gave you this for a reason. And I tell people, all the clients that I work with who are just developing or are realizing their gifts and stuff, I tell people all the time, when I did pray to ask about not necessarily what am I supposed to do with the gift, but why do I have it? Right? So follow me here. The question for me has always been, why me? Not what do I do with it, But why me? Because for a very long time, I felt these gifts that I had were a burden for me. Why did I feel they were a burden? Well, a lot of people didn't understand them. I was ridiculed and ostracized as a child because of them. Sometimes it comes with physical ailments and pain, right? Anxiety, headaches, the ability to feel other people's pain. That can be exhausting, especially if you don't know how to ground and protect yourself. So I would look at it as a burden. I would know things about people I didn't want to know. I would be in relationships knowing that it was going to end poorly. Like, it was a burden. So the question was, why me? Why do I have this? And, spoiler alert, you can't really use them on yourself. Because you'll always get the joke. So, well, why can't you tell me the lottery numbers or this, that, and the other? Or didn't you see that coming? How come this, that, and the other? A lot of times, anybody that you talk to who's a seer or has these certain types of gifts, they'll tell you they don't really work on themselves. And that could be for a lot of reasons. I do feel the Lord has boundaries on these things, because at the end of the day, that's the all in all, right? I am that I am. You have to rely on faith and guidance from the all-knowing, which I also believe that, is a part of all of us too. So the response I got was, the gifts are meant for everyone else. The gift is meant to give. So when people come to you for help and support, and they're guided to you or led to you, or you're put on assignment, your gift is being used to help others. It's a gift, but it's a gift for others. And that's the importance of networking with others, so others can support you. So that was always the question, was why me? It was never, what do you want me to do with it? So when I started reframing that question, what do you want me to do with it? It gave me the courage to come further, out the closet. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do with this. And you get more comfortable with that understanding. But I would also suggest, after asking, what do you want me to do with this? What is my assignment? What do you want me to do with this? Finding a network. And it doesn't have to be tons of people, but a handful of people who can help guide you through the process, right? Help you gently walk out that spiritual closet. Because you do need support. I will say it was when I was able to interact and partner with others who had gifts and ask them questions like, what do you do when this happens? Have you ever done this? And this, that, and it was a game changer. Because the people I was talking to were very intelligent people. The people I was talking to weren't individuals that you might think of as, you might need diagnosis and some medication. The people I was talking to were like me, and they were having similar experiences. And it helped me say that all the programming and everything that was happening when I was younger, and all the, this isn't right, and you're this and you're that was due to their fear, right? That was due to their judgment, not mine. And I adopted and took on that as an adult. And that's why it was so challenging for me as I was moving through that process. So my word of advice for individuals who might be in these similar situations, one, accept the fact that it is what it is, right? And I've had other episodes talking about it, but hey, if you see dead people, you see dead people. If you are able to receive information, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all the clairs, just accept it. Because one thing I will say, when you ignore it or you're scared of it, it makes the process so much harder. Like I said, you will be dragged to your assignment. So once you are able to accept that this is what's going on, the next phase, I would say, is to ask, why do you have it? What is my purpose with this? What is it that I need to do with it? Right? And like I refer, my home team is Christianity. I'm a Christian. So when I'm praying to Holy Spirit, God, and asking these questions. But as I tell everybody, whoever you're playing for, whatever denomination, or even if you don't have a denomination, if you refer to the universe, all-knowing source, whatever that is for you, higher self, ask, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I needed to do with this? And listen. Sometimes the direction changes. Sometimes the assignment changes. Once you finish one assignment, you get another one. And things in your life will lead you up to where that's supposed to be. But ask the question. So, first, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that whatever you got going on is going on. 2, ask, what am I supposed to be doing with this? 3, figure out and learn about it. I know for me, I was told specifically, like one of my gifts is discernment, but I was told specifically that I wasn't using it correctly. So I was like, okay, in prayer, like, okay, then what am I supposed to do? And I was given scriptures and stuff to refer to learn how I was supposed to use it. So you can get redirection and guidance, but you have to ask. So acknowledgement, asking why you have it, what you're supposed to do with it, learning about it. And then I was sent to different religious texts and everything as the way to learn more about the gifts that I have. And then the next, and I think one of the most important pieces, is find community around it. Individuals that you feel safe enough to talk to about it. Because once you pull yourself or step out of that spiritual closet, it's so important that you still feel a level of safety. Because you're in the closet for safety, right? You're in the closet because of fear and judgment. So when you step out of that safety net, you're going to want to develop your own system of support to provide some of that safety still, but in a way that you can still utilize and learn from others. So from my experience, those are just my suggestions. If you're somebody who's peeking out the closet, who keeps going back and forth, in and out, who has their foot a little bit out the closet, you're not quite sure what's going on. One thing, you're listening to this podcast, and there's others that you can listen to. So you're already starting in learning and building the community. So you're not alone. And this has been a struggle for me personally. This was a struggle. And like I said, I'll have a whole story time to the different levels of struggle that it was. But it was not an easy experience. And I think for me, it was because I was doing it alone. So every time something happened, I questioned it. Every time something happened, instead of leaning into it, I would try to debunk it or disprove it. And that went on for years. So it's definitely so important to build community, find community where you feel supported so you can ask questions, so you can dive deeper into that area of knowledge, right? And not have an inner battle within yourself. Because, I was fighting myself for a very long time. But sooner or later, you'll get exhausted and, the good guy always wins. So, hopefully, some of these techniques will help. Hopefully, if it was just one thing I said that can make your experience of coming out of the spiritual closet easier, I'm glad that occurred. Because the only way for you to get beyond the concern of fear and judgment is for you to get comfortable with who you are, secure with who you are, and know thyself. And understand that others people's fear and other people's judgment says more about them than it does about you. All you got to do is be obedient, glow and shine, and I promise everything does work out. So, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you guys for sticking around and all the well wishes and everything. I feel like I'm kind of back to where I need to be. But as always, you guys take care, stay safe, and keep your eyes to the sky.